4 years ago, God gave me clear direction through our regional pastor to start a D group in Cabanatuan. I stepped out in obedience to God and experienced His hand at work in Cabanatuan. Thankfully, my family and D group supported me and accompanied me in my D group planting journey. God encouraged us by allowing more and more people to join in bridging events and be placed in D groups. We were just obeying God one step at a time. When He tells us to expand our borders, we obey, and He allows us to see His plan unfold before our eyes. By God's mercy and grace, we reached the required number of D groups and volunteers to be launched as a satellite by 2020. However, in that same year, the pandemic hit. Just like other CCF worship centers and business establishments, the venue for our weekly gatherings was closed. We had several big questions to answer. How can we continue to make disciples? Where can we go now? How do we keep our momentum as a new CCF satellite? He talked to me during my quiet times and devotions, especially when I reread the book of Acts. God also led me to read books that would point me to the answers. In one of the D Leaders assemblies, I was also struck by Pastor Peter's message about the simple church and his constant reminder to keep the main thing, and that is discipleship. The words of Francis Chan from his book, Letters to the Church, came to mind. He said, "Everyone has a home. If it's possible for a church to fit in a home, then we have an infinite number of potential churches no matter where we go. Going small is our best shot at getting big." God opened my eyes to the huge potential of preaching the lost by going small. Although this direction runs counter to what most people expect and are used to, I focus on the commands that God gave to the early church, and I try to always be sensitive to the leading of the Holy Spirit. We then started simple and small gatherings in the houses of those who were willing to open their homes to share the gospel and make disciples. I also encourage potential leaders to join, observe, and eventually do the same in their own circle of influence. We started home fellowships in different towns in Nueva Ecija, including Talavera, General Tino, Palayan, Gapan, and Cabiao. We also initiated several workplace fellowships. To inspire and challenge other D group leaders, we regularly updated them about the home fellowship that had been started and showed them photos in our group chats. Soon, some of them began asking questions and showing interest. Not long after, they started fellowships in their homes or workplaces. More and more D group leaders caught the same vision, and the home fellowship movement gained momentum in CCF Cabanatuan. Having seen how God has worked through the home fellowships, most of the satellites in Central Luzon were encouraged to start home fellowships in different communities near them. We continued planting home fellowship in nearby provinces, namely Aurora, Pangasinan, and Nueva Vizcaya. We have seen how God moves and how He reaches out to people. Despite the fear of COVID, He puts the desire in people to attend the home fellowship. They enjoy the fellowship and sense of family, particularly the meaningful breakout discussions after watching the Sunday run-through messages. I have personally witnessed miracle upon miracle and the fruits of home fellowships. Many people in rural areas who cannot go to city or local churches have come to know Christ through home fellowships. Many broken relationships had been restored as family members shifted their focus from themselves to God's plan and mission for each one of them and their family. People had been easily placed into D groups because of the breakout groupings. In addition, members are trained and equipped. All are given opportunities to contribute and use their God-given gifts for the welfare of the home fellowship. Everyone is challenged into action instead of being mere consumers. Yes, the process of starting a home fellowship is fairly simple. It does not require fancy equipment and elaborate programs. It requires fewer resources and has fewer expenses than a building-based church does. However, I cannot and will not say that it is easy and not challenging. There are home fellowship planters who have undergone tests and struggles while planting or conducting home fellowships. Some have to cross waters or travel long distance to reach far-flung barrios to weekly share the gospel and connect with people for Christ. Together, we cry over these challenges and pray about them. But every time I ask them why they continue what they are doing, they often tell me this: we have personally experienced the love of God and His goodness in our lives. We want others to experience the same. Witnessing transformed lives give us the boost we need to continue despite the challenges. And most importantly, God is honored and glorified in the process. He deserves the highest praise. Right now, we have 94 home fellowships in Central Luzon, and this number keeps on increasing. In fact, there are home fellowships that have already multiplied within a year. Looking at God's work reminds me that this is only possible because of His grace and power. God has led us to a new and efficient way of sharing the gospel in this new day and age. God has continuously encouraged us even through hardships, and God has sustained us so that we will not grow weary in doing good. Please pray with me that God will continue to bless this disciple-making movement through home fellowships, so that we could bring the church to the unreached and ultimately lead more souls to Jesus Christ. I am Feliciano, a bond servant of Christ. To God be all the glory.